Good evening and welcome to The Story. I'm Evan Watson in for Blair Best tonight. 8 months ago, Keith Wilson was elected mayor of Portland, largely on a promise to end unsheltered homelessness within a year. The clock is ticking and unsheltered homelessness is still a top concern. A big part of the mayor's plan relies on opening overnight shelters throughout the city, but it's facing some fierce pushback. That's our big story tonight. The city of Portland plans to open a large 200-bed overnight homeless shelter in a building at the corner of 14th and Northrup. That's next to I-405, right at the dividing line between the Pearl District and the Northwest neighborhood. 2 blocks away, the homeless nonprofit Blanchet House is planning to open a 75-bed women's shelter. The big city shelter is scheduled to open in September, and the Blanchet House shelter a month later. It's part of the mayor's plan to open 1,500 new shelter beds by December to try and fulfill his primary campaign promise. But people living in the Pearl, Northwest, and downtown are pushing back, and they've formed a pretty decent-sized coalition to try and stop the shelters from opening in their area. They call themselves the Shelter Accountability Committee, and last night they held a meeting with a packed house. People at the meeting say the shelters are planned at what they're calling the worst possible spot in the city, especially given the push, including by the city of Portland, to revitalize downtown Portland after the pandemic. Todd Zarnitz is the president of the Northwest District Association. He led the meeting. One of the biggest concerns, he says, is that the shelter will be low barrier, meaning people who stay there don't have to be sober. Zarnitz says it'll hurt the neighborhood.
There really is no solution to the problem, and the problem is just this out-of-control drug culture crisis and fentanyl, basically. There's no part of the plan that addresses any of that. In fact, the plan says if you're drunk or you're high or whatever condition you're in, come on in and aggregate in a huge, almost 300-bed shelter community, and it's going to come with a lot of the issues that crisis entails. And do nothing to address the underlying problem.
Other people who came to the meeting agreed, including Carly Ryder, a landlord who owns multiple apartment buildings in Northwest Portland.
Honestly, I think it's a really dumb idea, because the way to get homeless people off of the street is not by providing them with food, which they already have from other organizations, and then a place to sleep just for the night. They can essentially wander around the streets doing whatever they want, which includes, as we have seen, buying drugs, and then they'll get food and then they'll have a place to sleep. Honestly, I think what they're doing is enabling this bad behavior.
She says the city is putting its energy in the wrong place and that efforts should be instead focused on enforcing laws and recent camping ordinances.
I would like to see more enforcement of the drug use, enforcement of sleeping in tents and bad behavior, but also, the people who are willing to get help, who want to get help, who want to get off the streets, providing them with ways that they can do that. And we have so many ways in this city. We have so many organizations that are helping people find homes. So much of our taxes goes towards housing people, the people who work for it.
The city says a low-barrier shelter provides a chance for people to move on to the next step of their housing journey. But Zarnitz says he invited the mayor and District 4's city council members to last night's meeting, and none of them showed up.
I sent invitations out to the 3 commissioners, to the mayor's office, to Megan Moore, county, the executive directors of Rosehaven, of Blanchet House, and one after one, each said that they couldn't attend. So I have...
Zarnitz says the city is abandoning the neighborhood and wants them to just roll over and accept that shelter plan. One person who did show up and take the mic, former Multnomah County Commissioner Sharon Myron, who agreed with that take, telling the crowd that elected leaders are disconnected from both the people they serve and the homeless people they're trying to help.
Pretty much what I was saying from inside the building for years about the policies, about the disconnects, about not listening to the people who are impacted by all of our policies, about drugs and mental illness being at the heart of the chronic homeless problem, not lack of housing supply. And I was rebuffed at every step of the way.
We reached out to the mayor's office. A spokesperson sent us this newsletter the mayor published last month titled, "Here's What I Want You to Know About Emergency Shelters." In it, Mayor Wilson writes, "My plan only works if host neighborhoods are empowered and safe. I'm determined to win the trust of emergency shelter neighbors and surrounding businesses through tangible improvements. That's why my budget includes increased funds for residential street cleaning, graffiti removal, derelict vehicle towing, and engagement workers." Zarnitz is encouraging people to continue to call and email the mayor's office, and they're planning a town hall meeting next week. The city says they're still on track to open the shelter by September. In another Portland neighborhood, the Trump administration has pulled back $450 million, money that was set to help cap the I-5 freeway in the Rose Quarter area. The cap would reconnect the historically black Albina neighborhood, which was ripped apart by the freeway construction. The federal access and equity grant was awarded to Albina Vision Trust during the Biden administration to be channeled through ODOT to make the project happen. Mayor Wilson says the federal administration is poised to disrupt years of development across Portland as part of a federal campaign against diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Albina Vision Trust says its mission to transform the Albina district back into a unified, livable neighborhood is still alive.
This project will get completed. It might not be right now, might not be a couple days down the road, but we remain deeply confident and resiliently optimistic about the future of this work here in this area of our city.
JT Flowers there says, especially in times of uncertainty, it's important for city and state leaders to do even more to support the long-term work repairing communities damaged in the past. For the first time since the Rowena fire destroyed nearly 60 homes last month in Wasco County, we're getting a close look at the cleanup. Crews just started removing hazardous material in the debris and the ash. Joe Ranieri has more on the painstaking process.
This is the Thule Terrace area of Rowena, and more than a month after this devastating fire, you can still see the damage out here. Old cars are just a shell of what they used to be. Across the street used to be homes, and on the other side of this street is a hazardous team that are working to clean up everything. Over the last couple of weeks, Wasco County has been working on putting together a team to help with the cleanup. The Wildfire Debris Management Task Force consists of members of the Sheriff's Office and the DEQ, just to name a few. The first phase of the cleanup has just started.
Removing hazardous waste from the ash piles, and that's like propane tanks, pressurized cylinders like welding gases. You might find some paint cans or things like that. A lot of the stuff you would normally expect to see around your own house.
Once the hazardous team gathers household materials like old paint cans, all of the material is sorted right here before being transported to a hazardous material landfill in Eastern Oregon. There is no cost to the homeowners for all of this. The state is paying for the cleanup.
And this is the worst incident that I've ever experienced in my time being in Wasco County.
And it's also the biggest cleanup Sheriff Lane McGill of Wasco County has ever seen.
The reason we developed an incident management team was to actually bring everybody together under one roof that could actually develop a process and a plan on how to recover from this devastating incident.
In the next couple of weeks, Phase 2 will be clearing the rest of the debris out.
Phase 2 is one of those things that has to do with like asbestos and lead cleanup and all that sort of stuff. That's really what Phase 2 is going to focus on.
The Rowena fire is still under investigation. It burned nearly 4,000 acres and nearly 60 homes. The cleanup is expected to take weeks before homeowners can start rebuilding here again. In Rowena, Joe Ranieri, KGW News.
A high-stakes legal battle is playing out in federal court. The Catholic Church is asking a judge to stop a new Washington law that would require clergy to report child sex abuse, even if the information is shared in confession. Sebastian Robertson is in Tacoma with what happens next.
The judge says he'll likely issue a decision by the end of the week on if the courts will block a new state law that would require priests to come forward about allegations of sex abuse, even if those are obtained through confession. A U.S. District Court judge says a written decision is coming soon, indicating he'll side with the Catholic Church in blocking a state law requiring Catholic priests, among other faith leaders, to report allegations of sex abuse against children.
This is an emotional topic.
Lawmakers passed Senate Bill 5375 in the most recent legislative session. Governor Bob Ferguson signed the bill into law in May. It's set to take effect later this month. The law explicitly requires Catholic priests to violate the sacred seal of confession should a penitent report abuse. The White House calls the legislation anti-Catholic, and this morning, an attorney from the Department of Justice argued this new law not only targets the sacred act of confession, it targets priests and treats them differently. Seattle Archbishop Paul Achen is a plaintiff in the suit and spoke with King 5's Joyce Taylor in May.
We want our people to continue to have trust and confidence in the sacrament of reconciliation, better known as confession. It's between the penitent and God. Our church law, canon law, also says that if a priest violates that seal, he's automatically excommunicated from the church.
Attorneys for the state pushed back, defending the law as necessary protection for children. They also argue the law is broadly written to include all religions and does not target Catholics. The judge said he's leaning towards issuing a preliminary injunction, swayed by the argument that the law violates the Equal Protections Clause of the 14th Amendment. If the judge does in fact issue a preliminary injunction blocking the law, it essentially pauses the law from going into effect until the matter is fully resolved in court.
When we come back, a huge day for Portland sports with the official announcement of the name for our new WNBA team, the Portland Fire. But if you've been around for a while, you might remember the old Portland Fire from about 2 decades ago. What happened to that team? We're going to the KGW Vault to show you and explain how this new Fire will build a roster when the story returns. We don't usually talk sports on this story, but it's an exciting day for Portland sports fans. The Portland WNBA franchise, set to join the Women's Basketball League next year, revealed its name, the Portland Fire. The new team name might sound familiar. It's a brand revival of the old Portland Fire WNBA team, which played in Portland about 25 years ago. Let's take a look inside the KGW Vault for more on that team. had a WNBA team, the Portland Fire, which played at the Rose Garden from 2000 to 2002. The Fire averaged more than 8,000 fans at its home games, which was higher than the league average. Jackie Stiles won the Rookie of the Year award in 2001. But in the Fire's 3 seasons in the league, the team failed to post a winning record, finishing best at 16-16 in 2002. The team was owned by Paul Allen, but the Fire fizzled out after just 3 seasons in the league for financial reasons and a lack of new ownership investment. Here's what former Portland Fire player Jenny Moe told us about that moment.
It was a shock, I think, to all of us. We were just like, wait, what? But we have a good fan base. Like, people are coming to our games, and why would you do that? But yeah, it was really weird to come back to nothing.
The new Portland WNBA team will be the league's 15th team, playing in a city that's known to support women's sports. New buzz and momentum today for the incoming team. Catherine Cook is live now at the Moda Center where the launch party is underway. Catherine, what are you hearing there from fans?
What a fun day here at the Rose Quarter, Evan. People were energized, they were excited, and yes, they had thoughts on the name. Some people were just so thrilled that the Portland Fire is back. Others thought it might have been a great chance to kind of do something more creative, but overall they were just more excited to have the WNBA returning for the 2026 season. Now behind us you can see folks are tearing down the stages. The fans have gone home, they've wrapped up, they kicked everyone out, but the vibe here is still one of excitement. We talked to a lot of fans about, just having the team back in Portland, looking forward to next season. A lot of them have signed up for season tickets already. Lots of folks bought their swag, their t-shirts, their hats. Really dig the logo, the rose with the flames coming out of it for the Fire. We talked to some folks about their thoughts about just having the team back together and really going forward.
Super excited for the Portland Fire to come here. We love watching women's sports. We go to Thorns games. We love Rose City Rollers. We're super excited for another women's sport to be in Portland.
What do you think of the name, the Portland Fire?
Portland Fire isn't what I would have chosen. I would have done Portland Swifts, but I think I'm going to embrace it, and it harkens back to the original team name. It fits with the Blazers, so we're going to be all in.
The Portland Swifts. What you'll never know, I guess. But hey, we've got the Fire, and really just a fun afternoon. One more note on the day they launched. I think the joke around here is it's the worst kept secret. Everyone knew it was going to be the Portland Fire, so why did they wait so long? Well, they wanted to announce on July 15th to recognize that the Fire is the WNBA's 15th team. Evan?
Got it. Thanks, Catherine. I'm curious, too, were any young girls there, young basketball players really excited? Did you see that energy there for them to have this come back?
They were thrilled. They were absolutely thrilled. And it was really sweet because a lot of their family, their moms and dads, talked to me about, hey, they used to come to the Portland Fire games 25 years ago. So they're just so excited to be able to pass on that tradition to their kids.
Love that. Great to hear. Thank you, Catherine. So the Portland Fire are reignited here in the Rose City, but what's next for the team? First up, sort out the administration. The Fire still need to hire a general manager and then a coach. The team has an interim president in her first month on the job. The first team president, Inky Sun, voted here, lasted less than 3 months. Then it's all about the players, and here is where it honestly gets fascinating. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement between the league and the players' union expires at the end of this season. The league is expanding, revenue is booming, and players want higher salaries and a bigger slice of the pie. With this expectation, nearly every WNBA player who isn't on a rookie contract planned ahead, and they'll be free agents at the end of this season, able to sign with any team. So Cameron Brink, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, they're a few of the exceptions on rookie deals. The rest of the league's stars, they're up for grabs. Just yesterday, ESPN ranked the top 25 players in the league ahead of the All-Star break. 21 of them will be free agents, including former Origin Duck Sabrina Ionescu and Satu Sabali. The other 4 are on rookie contracts. But historically, before free agency begins, expansion teams have the chance to draft players to start filling out their roster through an expansion draft. The way that works Current teams can protect a certain number of players on their rosters, and then the expansion teams, in this case Portland and Toronto, get to pick from the rest with some limitations. For this year's expansion team, the Golden State Valkyries, 7 of their 9 top scorers so far this season came from that expansion draft. However, with so many players becoming free agents, it's not really clear how this process will work for Portland and Toronto. There might not be many players on current rosters to pick from. This process, who will play for the Portland Fire in its debut season next year, will likely be wrapped up in the new CBA negotiations with little clarity until a deal is finalized. And by the way, the Portland Fire's new owners are likely thrilled that they got into the league now and not a few years from now. They paid a $75 million expansion fee to the WNBA. The new teams coming to Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia later this decade, they'll have to pay $250 million. Time for you to let us know how you feel. Are you excited for a new WNBA team in Portland? Do you think it'll help Portland's comeback or not so much? What do you think about the new team name now that it's official? We want to hear from you. Email the story at kgw.com or leave us a voicemail 503-226-5090. Still ahead, Washington is trying to make its ferry system a little greener by electrifying the boats. Is it worth the price tag? And how big a difference does it actually make? We'll take a look. In Seattle, a new kind of ferry is transforming the Puget Sound. Taylor Pomisel with our sister station shows us how the vessel is changing the future of transit.
It's one of the most iconic things outside of the Space Needle for this area. They represent a destination that for years to come people point to this and they'll be like, yeah, I got to work on the Wenatchee.
The Wenatchee is making history in Puget Sound. The Washington State Ferry is now running on hybrid electric power.
We are leading America in this revolution.
Former Governor Jay Inslee drove the project for nearly a decade. to cut down on pollution and noise.
We have like 3/4 of the emissions for state government comes from Washington State ferries.
We can take steps to reduce carbon emissions and reduce our fuel economy.
The Wenatchee is that first major step.
And we're talking about being, kind of net zero by 2050.
The Wenatchee used to be powered by 4 diesel engines. Over the past 2 years, 2 of those have been removed. Batteries, now the replacement power source at both ends.
So this is our battery room. Inside each of these cabinets is a rack of batteries.
The difference in noise on the Wenatchee is significant compared to its sister vessel.
Are you ready?
No, let's do it. Right now, the Tacoma is still powered by 4 diesel engines. Like the Wenatchee, 2 will eventually be removed and replaced with batteries.
We have 4 sources of power, 2 of which are online right now, and we're going to replace 2 of the sources with a device that doesn't make noise and doesn't make smoke and does just as good a job.
As the other ferries await their conversion, many are curious if the drop in decibels is worth the price tag. The Wenatchee's hybrid electric remodel cost $96 million. $36 million higher than expected.
The conversion is much more challenging than constructing a boat from scratch and building it all as one system.
And while the conversion of the ferries will have a big ripple effect in docking pollution and noise inside the boat, there's one problem this conversion still didn't solve. It won't do much to reduce noise for marine life below the surface.
And now we're recording. Okay,
Joel Olson, the founder of Cetacean Communications, specializes in underwater acoustics for marine life.
From the ferry, you would hear knocking.
It's a noise that particularly affects orcas.
It makes their world smaller. It makes it harder for them to find their prey because their sound, the echolocation that comes out.
It's actually coming from the vessel's propellers.
When we're having our new hybrid class of vessels come out, we are looking at the propeller systems for those. Since that's a new vessel, we have a little bit more ability to design on those ones.
Still, the Wenatchee symbolizes the ferry system's first ripple of progress to make a greener world.
If we use a lot less diesel and we provide a more reliable and enjoyable ride, I think that's a success.
It's going to mean a difference for, the waters we call home here.
The first step as the Washington State ferry system follows in the wake of the Wenatchee.
There's an ongoing push for a passenger ferry on the Willamette River. The idea for the Frog Ferry has been floating around for years, but backers still need millions of dollars to make it a reality. That is the end of our show. Thank you very much for watching. If you ever miss an episode of The Story at 6:30, we re-air it at 8:30 and 10:30 on our streaming and TV app, KGW+. It'll run there the next day, too. Until then, have a great night. Take care of each other.